Hey you, yes you, come up with a research topic up until next week, then we can go through it together and define it a bit more. Something like this or similar to that is what you're gonna hear during your first week as a PhD student or maybe as a master student for your research project, and then you're just like, well, what do you mean come up with a research project? How does one come up with a research project, right? So that's what we're gonna discuss in this video. We will go step by step through all the steps that you need to take to define your research topic and get started with your research. Before we start, quick introduction if you don't know me yet. Hi, I'm Aynur. I'm a third-year PhD student at Imperial College London in chemical engineering, and I made it my mission to teach you every secret I know in academia, video by video, through all my social media channels. So let's dive right into the video. How can you define and find your research topic from scratch? Step number one, before you even start into the nitty-gritty of like literature review and reading articles and papers and all that, you got to know your limitations first. What are the limitations that you have? Are you like bound to a country, to a university, to a research group? Is that research group bound to a specific topic? Do you just have access to a couple of research method and tools, and how much money do you have? Like, there are always some boundary conditions, you know, that you have to consider. So it might be that you are just in the process of applying for a PhD position, or it could be that you already have a PhD position and now it's up to you to like, what are the boundary conditions that you have? What are external limitations? Okay, so once you've got that noted down, we can move on to the second step. Where does your interest lie in? Like, let's define a very, very broad area of research. We're not talking about your specific research problem, just like the very broad area of what you're going to do research in. For example, in my case, I really wanted to do computational fluid dynamics in my PhD. I knew this even before I started applying for PhD positions. So for me, in every single PhD application that I did, one thing was clear. I was applying for a CFD position and I only wanted to do CFD research, and that was like my number one boundary condition and the thing that was non-negotiable. So now, if you look at computational fluid dynamics, that's a very, very broad area of research. There are so many things that you can do with a CFD, so many different methods, so many different areas, from aerospace engineering to chemical engineering, particle technology, they're everything. From dishwasher to automobile industry to planes and rockets to chemical reactors, okay? So that's where you're then, step number 3, you're gonna dive into research papers and you're gonna read research summaries. So now that you've figured like what your boundaries are and also what your very broad area of research focus is, you're now gonna focus on reading literature. And you're gonna start with the review type of literature first. So you know how there are like research articles, literature reviews, but also other types of like theses and so on. So you're gonna focus on reading literature reviews, these type of articles. And you're gonna do that because these reviews, they give you a very broad summary of what's going on in that research field, and they inspire you and they point out different research gaps that could be analyzed, and all these things are going to be very helpful for you to then figure out what your potential research project could be. So if you look at this, we have a top-down approach. So we're starting very broad with our limitations, external, we can't do anything about that. Then what is our own interest? What is the broad area? So for me it was CFD, for you it could be battery technology or immune cells or whatever it is, very broad. And then we're going to start slowly with reading review articles, looking at, okay, what's the current state of research? What do people struggle with right now? Might there be something that I can contribute at with my own research? And then what you're going to do is step number 4, you're going to look for a research gap. So you're trying to understand what is the area that people did not study yet. And you're going to figure this out by reading these articles. And then a lot of articles have like at the end, something like in the conclusion section, they have something like suggestions for future work. Also, a lot of review papers have this. And even better than that, if you have like, if you read recently published theses, like PhD thesis, in that particular area, you will also, in that conclusion area of the PhD thesis, you'll find lots of suggestions for future work, what hasn't been studied yet, and all that. So you're gonna like collectively collect all these findings. You can use my literature review template for that. Link is in the description, or any other kind of systematic approach that helps you. But really like try to figure out, okay, what can you contribute to that area? And this is something you got to be patient. So you remember how in the beginning I said, come up with a research topic up until next week. Yeah, that's not going to happen in a week. Like it takes a lot of time to process a new research area, to read all that, to digest, to understand. It can take months, and some people even like a year to find like a proper like research project. That's absolutely normal. It can go faster, it can take longer. So be prepared that this is not just something that just happens like this. Now that you found like a potential research gap, something that's missing in literature and that you want to contribute to, we're going to move to step number 5, and this is where you're going to plan your research. And this is also why it takes you so long to find a research project, because we're not a gap, and even finding a research gap can be a tedious work. But let's say you found it. Now you have to think about a research strategy, and sometimes you'll have a great research gap, but then you think about, oh, how am I going to solve this research problem? And then you'll be like, okay, well actually I can't, this is literally out of the scope of what I can do, I have no idea how to do this. And then you have to find another research gap. This goes in cycles until you find something that you can solve. So step number 5, as I said, is to find the right methodology. How can you solve this? So for example, in my case, I had my research problem and I wanted to do CFD, computational fluid dynamics, and then I went down and I did some research in different CFD methods, different CFD software tools, open source or commercial, and how can I do this? Shall I do this with machine learning or not? And like what methods do I couple with one another? Is it even feasible to do what I do? And I created this list of possibilities, and then we basically discussed this with my supervisors, and we were thinking, okay, does this even make sense? Is it worth a shot or not? So that's step number 5. Make a plan, a strategy. How are you thinking of filling that research gap? Now, step number 6, you also want to think about the impact and the relevance of your research. It hurts a bit to spend 4 or 5 years on a research project and then just in the end to not know what your research is for, okay? So while this is okay, like for in some cases, a lot of the things that has been published, for example, just find a use case centuries later or decades later, that's fine. But also like as a person, as an individual, when you're stuck with your PhD thesis for 4 years, there is gonna be a point where you think, what am I even doing here? Like, what is this even all for? And if you don't even then know what it is for and what it's gonna contribute for, it might feel very blank and very empty and purposeless what you're doing. So make sure that you also give yourself that reality check and think about, hey, like what is my research contributing to? So for example, my research is for the chemical industry. It helps to use these huge chemical reactors more effectively and hence then to reduce carbon dioxide emissions, which we all want, to fight climate change, global warming. Like in times where it gets a bit rougher, I'm thinking, hey, I'm helping to fight climate change. That's something good, at least a little bit, it helps. So find a purpose. Then number 7, the basic strategy of how you're going to approach this, and you've also checked it and made sure that it's relevant for the world, for the humankind. It has some kind of purpose, what you're doing. Give it also a reality check, okay? Not only like whether you have the equipment to do it and all that, you did that already when you strategized it, but also, is it feasible in 4 or 5 years? Like, is this something that can really be done within a PhD thesis? Or if you're currently a master student, can you do it in 6 months? Because sometimes you have this huge list of things that you want to do, but then when you break it down, research is a very, very slow process, okay? And then it turns out that it's not feasible at all, okay? So give it a reality check. Is it really doable in that time frame? Now, number 8. It's all about collaboration, okay? Like finding a research project is not only about what you think is great, but it also, there goes a lot of like ideation and discussion in it. So you're going to present all that to your supervisors, to your mentors, anyone in academia that's helping you out right now. And then there's going to be this feedback loop. They're going to say, oh, this sounds interesting. Did you look also like into that? Or did you ever think about doing this? Or maybe you could use that method instead of this method. And hey, we did something similar with a previous student. He's at a different university, maybe we could collaborate together and benefit from that expertise. So your supervisors have a lot of experience and leverage that talk with them and get their ideas and opinions. And this is going to be then a feedback loop, and over time this will develop into a research project. And that brings me to the final step, step number 9, get your research project approved. Every research project needs some kind of approval. In my case, I had to formulate that research project in 1 or 2 pages, like a mini research proposal, and submit it to the PhD admissions board. And they basically looked at whether this is PhD worthy or not, at least to get started, right? So summing it up, these 9 steps. First one was know your limitations. What kind of limitations do you have? Define your broader research topic. For me, it was CFD. Read literature, summaries, reviews, theses, and look out for research gaps. Find different research gaps and topics that you could actually work on. 5, strategize. Which one of these can you actually do research on? Do you even have the equipment, the know-how, and everything at your university so that you can solve this problem that you have? 6, is your research even relevant? What does it contribute to? Do you really want to work on this for 4 years if it's not relevant at all? 7, give it a thorough reality check. Is it feasible in these 5 years to get all that done? Or is this just a utopic project that's great, but let's be honest, it's not going to work. Number 8, get in touch with your supervisors, get their feedback and opinion. And number 9, get your research project approved. Whew, that's a lot of things, but to be quite honest with you, this process is really not easy. If your research project is predefined, that was the case with my project, by the way. It's my PhD industry funded, so my PhD topic was already from the beginning on, it was super clear what I'm going to work on. But if it's not, this part is part of your PhD. And I have a friend at the moment right now, she's been doing her PhD for 1 year, and she's just now figuring out what her research project is about. And that's absolutely normal, because not only do you read a lot to find out what's going on, but you also learn a lot, and then you try different things. Not every strategy works. So you think, oh wow, I have a great idea, let's do this. And then you start doing it, and then you realize, hey, this is missing, that is missing, and this is actually not working at all. And then you have to start the cycle all over again until you find really that one thing that could be then your research project, right? So patience is really a big thing here. You have to be patient, and you have to put in a lot of work actually to find a research project that works for you. But also good news, we kind of all end up finding it at some point. So we just have to push through it, and then we'll get there. So I believe that you'll get there as well. So I hope you found this video useful. If so, like, share, and subscribe to this channel. This channel is a baby channel. Every subscription means a lot, and it helps me to produce better videos for you guys as the channel grows. So please help me out with that. And other than that, you can always follow me on Instagram, where I share daily bite-sized piece academic tips. Just scan the QR code here and check out the link in the description box for the Notion literature review template. And if you have any other questions, leave them in the comments. And other than that, be safe and happy wherever you are, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye!